Thank you for choosing our Patio Heat channel. I'm Steve. We provide tips and information to extend the enjoyment of your patio project. Our videos give you a knowledgeable overview prior to investing in your outdoor heating equipment. Whether you are a professional or owner-builder, we provide specific details for optimum heat coverage for your application. Post a comment or question, or for developed visual designs, send your request into designs@patioheat.com. We're here to work with you. For over 30 years, patio heating is the bedrock of our business, expressing what works best. Now let's get heating. All right, so here we have this outdoor patio deck area that's covered. Let's go ahead and look at first of all, the overall dimensions that I have. So overall dimensions I have in the center of the post to the center of the post here is at 19 feet 6 inches. So I believe it's 20 feet distance total. And we have 13 foot 7 inches from this wall here to the center point here. I think it might be a little bit larger. I do have the floor plan, and I did move that floor plan so that it is within that span here. So let's go ahead and just move it up slightly here. You can kind of see that it's still pretty much to scale. Now there is a couple of items over here that I'm not 100% certain of the actual placement of the beams and things of that nature. I think this is actually the floor plan, so it's hard to say whether this is true or not, but in any case I think it's pretty close to being accurate. Let's go ahead and turn that floor plan off now. We have a height here of 8 feet 2 3/4 to the bottom edge over here, and then this is probably about 6 to 8 inches tall here. So overall height, I didn't place that on here, but let's go ahead and just do that real quick. So if I put a marker here to here, which is the bottom edge of the finished floor here, we have 8 foot 11 inches total. All right, let's see if there's anything else we want to talk about. So this is an enclosed patio, screened in deck patio. I'm going to remove the actual screen here. You can see that it surrounds the entire area. We do have a screen door that opens to the outside edge. So again, I'm going to remove that and also take off the dimensions for right now. Also, we have this door that slides to the left and right, so it's not coming out into the patio itself. A fireplace over here, and I think that's pretty much about it as far as the overall structure. Now I have just a reclining space over here. There's a fireplace, so that might be reclining, but it also could be dining space because of the fact that they do have a kitchen, I believe, right inside of here. So in any case, let's go ahead and look at a couple of different options. First of all, I'm going to go with the option that they had inquired about. This option, let's see here, this option here would be utilizing, whoops, that's not the one, and let's see, here we go, utilizing 2 of the units. Now I believe they had mentioned placing one on this outer beam over here, and then possibly one over here. These are 6,000 watt units. They are at the height of the actual beam itself. So you can see here that I placed it at the very top edge of the beam here and at a 30-degree tilt. The reason why I did that is so that it kind of matches up with the actual beam itself when you're looking out. But in any case, that's the overall height that I have here. And т I should go ahead and show you what the height of this cross beam I have here is 8.25 inch in height. But in any case, that's where I have the 2 units, and let's go ahead and see now where the footprint of heat would go at a 30-degree tilt. You can see that we're covering the space in the center here very well. Now, the actual distance, if I was to take the geometry and make it so that we can see the geometry, a little bit better here. Let's see if I can get that done properly. There we go. So this is the actual geometry here, and when I have it at this height, the footprint of heat, I'm going to go from right about here, let's go to over here. You can see that our distance of coverage is about 12 feet max distance. Now the ideal footprint is going to be from this point right here to this point right here, and let's go ahead and see what that is. So that's about 9.5 feet roughly. I'm going to go ahead and remove those now. Take off that geometry just so you can see how far that true heat coverage is going to be for this type of space here. Now I've centered the heaters within the patio structure, like I said, 30-degree tilt towards the center of the patio so that we're not hitting the screen or something of that nature. And the maximum angle that you can go is 45 degrees, but you wouldn't be covering this section here, nor would you be covering, you know, this section over here if this is going to be occupied. So that's why I have it at 30 degrees, but generally that would be a good application. Now, what do I think would be, you know, slightly better? Would be something like this, where we're using the CD 5224 models, and I have 2 of those on each side, so 2 here and 2 over here, 30-degree tilt, just like I said before. And I believe I have them at about a 6-foot center to center. You could go up to 7 foot, but let's just double check that real quick. So there's our distances, and let's see if we can get it here. Oh yeah, so we have it at 6 foot 10.5 inches center to the center, and I think 7 foot center to center would be best. I think there's something wrong with this actual portion that I have here, but yeah, 6.5 feet is probably the ideal distance apart from each other. But let's go ahead and see now. We have the 5200s, all 4 of them, 30-degree tilt pointed towards the center. Let's go ahead and look at the ray here. Now you can see that we are covering the entire space here. So I think this would be a nicer application depending on how this actual space is going to be occupied. If you know, if there's a table on this side here and just a few chairs over here, let's just say that we were to, I don't know if we can move this over here. Let me turn the rays off for a second. It's easier to grab some of these items here. But let's just go ahead and move that over, something like that. You know, I'm not 100% certain we can actually get a table in, dining table over here. But in any case, you know, put this back here so it's more centrally located. Looking at that footprint of heat with 4 of the units, I think that would be the most ideal for heating the entire space itself. We have a lot more overlapping here in the middle, and you can see here that, you know, the heat ray itself is coming all the way from over here to over here. And one thing I should probably mention is I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the sun here for a second. You can see the shadow of the structure itself from the sunlight. If you were standing in the shadow of the sunlight, you would not feel the warmth of the sun at all. But this is say that you were to stand over here in the sunlight itself, the air temperature from here to here is going to be exactly the same. The only difference is that when you're actually in the sunlight itself, you feel the infrared light wave of the sun. And that's exactly how infrared heaters work. If you're in that light wave itself, you will feel the warmth. But if you're outside of that outside of that ray itself, like this upper body here, for instance, you're going to feel the cold, even though you're inside of this space. Now, with a screen-in porch, you do have a reduction of air movement, so the air temperature will rise slightly, but that's not really what these heaters are designed to do. Hot air rises and dissipates into the atmosphere, so it just falls right out, you know, into the atmosphere here. But with the screen section, you have a little bit less of air movement, so you do feel a little bit warmer with heaters like this. So in any case, that would be my ideal application. Now I want to go ahead and just show a couple of different other options. These are drop downs. using the drop-down brackets that Infratech makes. And I have these are 6,000 watt units, and you can see that the footprint here is, you know, a little bit less at that angle. So this would work very well, you know, in my opinion. I'm gonna go ahead and just take off the top here so we can kind of see what that would look like. I think this would be, you can see I have it about a 5-degree tilt towards the center, so that we're not hitting the outer edge over here, and our coverage is more towards the center of the patio itself. Now I know that this is not the ideal application that this particular client is looking for. You know, if I was to turn off this ray, because you don't physically see light waves or infrared light waves, that's kind of what it would look like. You know, if you're coming out here, you'd finally see that. And you know, one thing a lot of people mention is that, you know, they don't want to see the heater itself. Let's just go ahead and turn on the screen, and also turn the ceiling back on up here. You know, generally when you're looking out of a structure like this, you're not looking up to see what this, you know, patio structure looks like. Maybe you'll look up once in a while, but honestly, most people look out into, you know, what the environment looks like. I believe they're going to have a river or lake in front of their property here, and so you're not going to be focusing on looking up. You're focusing on looking at the beautiful environment that you have. So just something to think about when you make that ultimate decision. Looking at the ray here, again, your coverage is going to be very good with an application like this. And then let's go ahead and look at another option, which was to place the heaters on these edges here and here. Actually, I have it up over here, and I did that just because of the fact that I wanted to keep them up a little bit higher and equal to each other. I wanted also to maintain a minimum clearance. Let's see if I have that on here. Now, the minimum clearance that you need to maintain is from the top edge of the heater to anything above the heater itself. It needs to be 12 inches when mounted on a vertical surface like this. So I made sure that this heater here is 12 inches below the surface, and then I have it at a 30-degree tilt. And this one here, I went with the slope on the actual mounting brackets, and then made sure that the angle was a 30-degree slope as well. Actually, I have this at a less than 30-degree slope, I should say. Let me just go ahead and double check what that actually was. I believe I changed that so our footprint of heat would be a little bit better, but let's go ahead and just move this and see what my actual slope is here. From horizontal is 15 degrees. So yeah, this one is 15 degrees. This one over here is 30 degrees. You know, I understand there also might be a TV set over here, but at this height and at this angle, it should not be an issue. But what I want you to see here is the coverage here is going to be a little bit nicer than having the heaters at the same elevation as this beam coming across here. Going higher, we have a wider footprint, and we have a little bit more distance coverage. We have this ray coming this direction, we have this ray coming that direction, and this would be a very nice setup as well. So this would be my second favorite. The first that I showed, having the 4 units, would be my first favorite, and then of course the 2 units going this direction. Where are we at? Let's see here. This is it. Yeah, these 2 units would be my third preferred application. So something just to think about. And yeah, if there's any if you're looking for some assistance with your outdoor heating application and you would like us to review your plans, send your information into designs@patioheat.com. And please, if you would, tap the like button, subscribe to our channel, and if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and place that on below there. Thank you very much, and have an excellent day.